Hey everyone, it's time to play again. Yes, welcome back to the U.S.S. to the Adventures of the U.S.S. Challenger. This is Continuing Conversations, and I'm Michael Dismuke, freelance writer for Star Trek Adventures. So excited to be here playing 2E with all of you. And we're going to jump right into this adventure tonight. Just so you all know, if you all want to follow along, but I expect my players not to look, is we are going to be playing Stephen Neer's Test of Honor, which is from a free mission brief pack, which is called Political Actions, that came out earlier this year. And so that's the game we're playing tonight. But before we start, we got to, of course, have those opening credits where people get to introduce themselves and their character. So why don't we start with my ever-loving co-host, Jim Johnson.
Hey everybody, Jim Johnson. I'm the project manager and line editor for the Star Trek Adventures RPG, Captain's Log Solo RPG, and the Star Trek Lower Decks card game. Coming soon. I will be playing Ensign Lanier Tenon, the Betazoid communications officer from the Quick Start Adventure and also the forthcoming starter set. So that's me. All the characters that we'll be playing are from the Quick Start / starter set. And I will turn it over to the next person on my list, Al Spader.
How's it going, everyone? Al Spader. I'm a freelance writer for Star Trek Adventures. Tonight I'll be playing Dr. Varal, our Vulcan doctor on board the ship, and I think it's logical to experience joy.
Meric, why don't you introduce your character next?
Absolutely. My name is Meric Moir. My pronouns are he, him. I am also a freelance writer for the Star Trek Adventures role-playing game, as well as a couple of other games that are kicking around right now. Tonight, I will be playing Lieutenant Commander Burke Van Jaxa, our chief engineer and resident Tellarite.
Wonderful. And of course, last and never least, the captain, BC.
I'm BC Holmes, and I'll be playing Commodore Nella Zen, the Trill Commodore and commanding officer of the U.S.S. Challenger, who is secretly joined after some time travel shenanigans.
Oh, guess what we'll be delving into tonight a little bit. All right. So with that, if this was the TV show, you would hear epic battle music to start the first scene. You picture the U.S.S. Challenger blasting through space along the edges of a static ion storm. Why is it a static ion storm? It's slow moving. It's got trapped by gravitational fluxes in space. And so it's really slow moving. It's almost like a nebula. It's not going through like a hurricane in space like normally. Of course, because of this dangerous situation and some things to come, we're doing something a little different with starting threat. That's right. Write this down. We are starting with 3 threat per player. So we are starting out with 12 threat to start out this adventure. All right. And that makes a good point, too. I need to actually have my pen at the ready and track that threat. Now, you're going to be having that, Meric, digitally imposed.
It just did it on cue. It just switched to 12.
You're awesome. And that means we also need some starting directives and some starting traits. So, of course, the prime directive is in play. And the next directive, which you'll understand once I open the scene, is survive. Okay? Is to survive. Of course, momentum starts at 0. And we can go ahead and start playing at this point, because coming out of the static ion nebula on a beeline for the U.S.S. Challenger, which is your ship, again, we are playing Strange New Worlds era, is, and we're going to show you the picture, a Tellarian freighter flying at full speed toward the U.S.S. Challenger. Oh, no. Now, does anyone have any questions about Tellarians or want to ask one question going in from players' point of view?
What series did they show up in again?
They originally showed up on TV in The Next Generation, but they've been known by the Federation for years. In fact, I'll just go ahead and read to you just an overview. The Tellurian Republic is a young interstellar polity with many of its members only gaining warp capabilities in the past century. So we're playing about the time that they've gained warp capabilities within like the last 30 years. And some being given the technology without it being developed on their own. So that gives you an idea. Now, some of their cultural traits, I'm not actually going to give them out to you yet because I think that they're a newer species to you all, and you wouldn't have as much information as the TNG era, right? So, but you would recognize it as a Tellurian freighter, which has now been put in the chat for you all to see. Any other questions before we start the first round of action?
Have we come out of the storm with shields on or not?
You were along the edge of the storm, not actually in the storm. Flying out of the storm is the Tellurian freighter.
Okay. My inclination is to suggest that our ensign open up hailing frequencies to the Tellurian freighter. See if they're okay, if they need us to render assistance, that sort of thing.
All right.
We'll do so.
That would be an automatic action. And they're coming at you at full speed, and they do not return your hail. Because they were on the edge, came straight out of the static ion storm, they're now within medium distance, and the first thing they do is fire.
Okay.
All right. So
Shields up.
Yes. So the shields up is fine. I would assume because of their stance and not responding that you automatically get shields up. And so I, as the GM, get to go ahead and do that first strike. So what I'm going to do is go to page 311 of the core rulebook about attempting a starship attack. They are utilizing, and I should tell everyone right now, I have actually adapted the ship stats from the Alpha Quadrant sourcebook to show you that 1E material is still good when you're playing 2E. And it took me just 5 minutes to make a couple changes to the shields and to change the weapons to ones that are in 2E and matching to it. So it's really simple to do. The systems for this freighter, and of course, we're doing initially an attack with their X-ray laser cannons, as they're mentioned in the book. They're going to go ahead and do a weapons plus security strike. Now, you're all going to laugh at this because their weapons plus security, their weapons are 2 and their security is 1.
Oh,
It's really bad, right? But this is a freighter that is only scale 2, and it's stacking up against a Constitution class ship. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and roll this. Just brought my dice.
Lord dice don't count.
I know. So rolling a 13 and a 16, I need everyone, because of course it's such a minor strike. Everyone's going to lean to the left on 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, boom. Good. Very good. All right. So no damage from this strike. It just impacted your shield, just grazed your shield. All right. Back to you all.
it's a funny thing about production and cameras that we learn who has mirrored their camera and not. As I went the opposite direction to everybody else, and I'm like, oh no.
That's great. Maybe you were facing the other direction.
I was in engineering, of course.
Exactly. It makes total sense. Are we saying you're in engineering and everyone else is on the bridge?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. See, it all works out. All right. So that is their scale 2. So that is their first turn that they are allowed. You already have burned 1 turn with attempting a contact to no result. Captain's orders, please.
So I'm inclined not, I don't think they're a huge threat to us. So I'm inclined not to immediately respond aggressively here. So I'm going to ask Ensign Tannen once again to communicate to them that whatever is going on, we would like to resolve this peacefully, but we will defend ourselves if necessary.
Does he get another turn? He's already used his turn.
You raise a good point. Now,
does the direct command allow you to give him another turn?
That's a good question. That sounds like a rules question. If only we had somebody who was intimately familiar with the rules here.
Let's take a look here. I'm looking at I'm going to page 300.
If I remember right, you can. I think the direct action is the only way you can take a second major action in a turn, but I don't think opening helium frequencies is really a major action. It might be a minor action.
It also requires us to spend a momentum.
Yeah. Can I substitute a threat for that? Because you don't have enough threat yet.
Very good. So I'm at 14 threat. Right. So for one momentum,
13.
you can direct them to do another action, correct? Yeah, right. So that puts us at 14 threat.
Did you gain another threat somewhere that I missed? I thought it was 3 per and we were at 12.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're at 13 now.
Okay.
Sorry. You're right. Sorry. 13 threat.
Trying to steal threat there.
Sorry.
Just sneak it in at the beginning of the game. We won't notice.
All right. So I predicted that she was going to give me a threat and I wrote it down too early.
There you go.
All right. So BC, what are your orders, Captain?
Yeah. So open up a hail. Tell them that, we would like to resolve this peacefully if at all possible, but we are not going to just take this attack laying down. We will defend ourselves if necessary. We just hope it's not necessary.
Transmitting on all frequencies, Commodore.
All right. Now, I believe I have to spend 2 threat to do a response that would be repetitive of the same action I did last time, meaning using the same system, if I remember. So we got to spend 2 threat, taking me down to 11. And this time, since their laser cannon was so weak, they are now going to use their Merculite rocket and fire it as they start, going back toward the static cloud. So I'm going to go ahead and buy 2 more dice because, again, this is going to be I'm just having a ball here. Weapons 2, science 1, and torpedoes need difficulty 3 in order to even hit, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to take us down to 8 threat. And let's see the results of this response. I got a 13, an 11, a 16, and 10. The missile bounces off of the shields and explodes.
Venjaxo will go on the
everyone,
comms.
sorry. 1 to the left. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
There you go, Bruce. Right. Venjaxo will get on comms up to the bridge and say, Commodore, are we in a fight? You let me know if you need me.
We are indeed. We should probably go to red alert.
And a quick question, Michael. Was it that is the ship receiving our hails? Are we being jammed or blocked or anything? Is it clear that they're receiving?
You would know that they're receiving your hails.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So they're receiving, they're just not responding other than with weapons fire.
Correct.
Understood.
Okay, I think we've tried it the nice way. It's time to bring out how far are they? Medium range, would we say?
Yeah, they're medium moving to long range right now.
Okay. So I think a phaser volley is what's called for in this particular circumstances. Commander Thoravik, let's see if we can blunt their claws a little bit.
Okay, and let's assume also at this point, Al, would your character have been running onto the bridge? Like, what's going on? They're a Vulcan, so...
Yeah, I mean, my plan would be to get over to a science station and to just start scanning to make sure that there are actually people on board that ship and not, robots or people that are, impaired or anything like that.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do a Thravik's thing first, and then we're going to do that as your action afterwards, because since they are scale 2, they are out of actions. Yeah. Right. So go ahead, Meric, and it looks like you are going to be doing a control plus security with ships, weapons plus security. And this is difficulty 2 because it's a phaser strike.
And is this Thoravik?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So
cool. So I'll just roll what I have because I don't have Thoravik's sheet. I rolled 2 natural ones.
What?
I have not done. Okay.
That's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
4 successes, right?
Yeah, that's 4 successes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Gives us
these
2 momentum.
oh,
2
these,
momentum.
These poor freighter.
Yep. So according to this, since you succeeded, what are the power on those phasers too from the vessel? If we take a look at the quick start guide,
Damage 6.
6. All right, very good. So 6, and then going to the freighter, which has resistance 2, so it would be 4 damage. Their shields, by the way, are just 7. Just so you're aware of what their shields are, because they're a smaller vessel. So because of their resistance 2, that would make 4 damage. You do have 2 momentum. What do you want to do with that?
So it's tempting to.
And this is going to give them a shake-in, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm tempted to apply the penetrating trait onto our damage so that it can get through their resistance.
I see damage and versatile. I see versatile as phaser banks here. I don't see penetrating.
Oh, sorry. Penetrating is something you can buy with momentum. You mentioned that we have momentum, unless you play the role where we have to declare that in advance of our decision.
Yeah, and something like that. And I also like usually the person who makes the attack to decide what to do with the momentum.
That's fair.
Yeah, I like to do that too. No, it's okay. I just want to get that clear early. So, Meric, what do you want to do?
What would Theravic do? Theravic could probably go with penetrating, just like with the captain. I mean, I personally am like, let's not destroy them. Let's do it.
Okay, so what does penetrating do?
Are we doing extra damage at that point?
No, it basically cuts through the resistance. So I think it's like.
Gotcha. Armor piercing.
I'm trying to.
So 2 momentum for 1 resistance, or is it 1 momentum?
I think it's 1 momentum for ignores 2 points of resistance. Or at least that's the way it was in first edition.
Let's check it out. I want to make sure we're right on it. Look up
Piercing now?
penetrating. Yeah, and maybe that's not. I want to make sure that we're following the.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's piercing now. Piercing is a damage effect.
Mm-hmm.
So versatile 2 gave us 2 points of bonus momentum because it's versatile 2, right?
Wow. So now you have 6 momentum.
Well, 2 of them are
4
bonus.
momentum.
Two of them are bonus, which means they can't be saved. So we got to spend those.
Correct. Right.
We could spend that on extra damage if we wanted to. And then the weapons is.
I'm not seeing penetrating anywhere.
Yeah, it's still piercing now.
Yeah, and piercing is a quality which we don't have.
Correct.
Okay, sorry. So
Right.
maybe that's another change that's happened.
Yep. Okay. Cool. So we'll just play it off the versatile. So currently you have 4 momentum, 2 of which you have to spend. You've already inflicted 4 damage on them based off of their resistance. So what do you want to do with that?
Should we?
For 2 momentum, which is repeatable, you can increase that damage.
Yeah, we could increase the damage, or we could throw a trait on them to say that their shields are fluctuating or engines are failing. Maybe we do something interesting like that.
I like the engines failing bit.
All right.
Mm-hmm. That'll make their engine actions harder. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say Theravic says direct hit on their this freighter doesn't look like it has nacelles on their port engine, Captain, and let's fluctuate some engines.
Okay, and then what do you do with the other 2 momentum?
Seems like
for now.
we should save it. Yeah.
Okay, so bank two of those momentum, and now since their shields are at 50% because you did 4 points of damage on them, I'll go ahead and mark that out. So at this point, they're shaken, and we'll look at the table below to decide how that affects them. So I get to choose. I get to choose as the victim of this, whether they have brace for impact on the next turn, the ship. They may not take a major action. Losing power, if you have reserve power, lose the use of reserve power the next time you attempt to regain power. And casualties and minor damage, the ship suffers a complication or roll again, or roll on this table again. I'm going to choose the ship suffers an additional complication, and I'll also put shields fluctuating on that because someone said that. Okay, so we have engines failing and shields fluctuating. Meric, why don't we have you narrate what this hit looks like on classic TNG TV style?
Yeah, I definitely like the idea of like the explosions down the side of the ship, as there's like some secondary ones. And the ship does kind of like that weird tilt in space that doesn't make sense, but it's very 60s.
Love it. Love it. All right. And that takes us directly to Dr. Varel. What did you want to do again?
All right, so I'm just going to do a scan of the life forms in there and see what information I can get to see if they're acting on their own free will or if there's something else going on here.
Okay, sounds good. Go ahead and give me a sensors, reason plus science with ship's sensors plus science difficulty 1.
All right, so this is a 16 is what I'm looking for. No real focus to help me out here. I did, however, get an 8 and an 11. The ship assist is a 12. Let's see. Sensors 9 is exactly. So that's 3 successes.
Very good. Okay, so that gets you 2 momentum. So there are 10 life forms on board.
And
All Talarian.
10 Talarian life forms on board. So my question is going to be, as I seek to obtain information for one of these momentum, is state of health of these Talarians.
They are generally healthy. You can pretty much guess that, about half of them are sporting minor injuries right now.
Okay. And because I'm studious, whenever I spend 1 momentum to obtain information, I may ask 1 additional question, which would be state of the life support on their ship currently.
They definitely took a walloping. They need repairs. It's not beyond the point of no return.
Okay, thank you. Bank the last 2 momentum, please.
Okay, so that gives you 4 momentum now.
Commander, they seem to be acting on their own free will. It does not seem as though the Talarians have been taken over by any other beings or have been replaced by robots. They are acting on their own terms here.
I'll allow you all the TV 1 go round to discuss this.
It seems like we've dealt them a bit of a blow here. Let's hope that, that's enough to give them pause and maybe that they'll back off a little. So why don't we just give them a little bit of space for a moment? That's my recommendation. Do people have other recommendations? I get to decide that.
I wouldn't vocalize it, but can I attempt to reach out telepathically to get some surface thoughts and feelings from the crew?
Sure. Well, let's go ahead because we're near the static ion storm and because things are a little stressful, right now there's distance. You're still a young betazoid. Let's go ahead and make this a control plus medicine or science because it's empathy. And this is going to be difficulty 4.
Difficulty 4. Everybody okay if I buy an extra die? All right, I'm going to spend 1 momentum to buy an extra die. I'm rolling 3 dice against you said control and science?
It can be control and science or medicine, whichever you prefer.
And I don't really have a focus. Psychology is not really applicable here, probably.
No.
Target number is 14. I rolled a 14, a 5, and a 6. So that's 3 successes. So
perfect. No, that's right. You're 1 short. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, a little too stressful right now. I know, even though, this is actually your first space battle ever, right?
It is, yeah.
Would it be? Okay, I'm just guessing. You may have some background that I don't know about, but...
No, I think this would be his first.
Okay, cool. Awesome. How are you feeling, by the way? I have to ask the instant in their first little skirmish.
Nervous and excited at the same time. Very focused, trying not to make any mistakes. And and now visibly frustrated that he looked Tenon looked deep in concentration for a moment, and then looked frustrated and went back to his console.
Okay, cool. All right, with that, as the rule, go ahead, Meric.
Yeah. Venjaxa will up to the Commodore and say, Commodore, would you like me to attempt any transporter locks on the enemy crew? I'm a little worried about their ship's systems. I don't know if that engine can hold out as long for long.
That's probably a cautious choice there. I think that would be a good idea.
Okay.
You don't want to
go
be
ahead.
responsible for unnecessary deaths.
All right. Okay, so we know the turn now turns back to them because you've all used your turns, and so it turns back to them. I am now going to use the rule about where I can create the traits or change the scene using 4 of my threat to do so. So I'm going to take us down to just 4 threat, and the next minute they punch it at low warp into the static ion storm, which provides cover 4. By the way, that's how good the static ion storm is. And this is also going to kind of act like a cut scene because you cannot track them. This is a reveal pool about the ion storm. And they go rushing back into the storm and off sensors.
Okay, so we can't even track them. Are you saying that we can't even track them using like a warp signature or anything like that?
Yeah, no, I'm using one of those TV show umps with the 4 reveal.
Got it.
Yeah. Maybe over time and adjusting with adjusting sensors over time as a gated challenge. That's something that might happen, but for right now, they fell off sensors. Talk amongst yourselves.
All right, so let's talk analysis here, folks. I mean, on the one hand, the conflict is over. That's a plus. But there's a chance that they're going to jump out and attack us again, or even worse, perhaps attack somebody less able to defend themselves. Should we go after them? And if so, how?
What was their goal? They didn't seem to have much of an effect on us, and then they ran as soon as they got attacked.
So it feels like there's a couple of possibilities here. Possibility number 1 is, they're a new and fairly aggressive species. Maybe they just wanted to make a mark for themselves. But 2, perhaps the more disturbing idea, but which, is not without precedent, is that, there's something about this static storm that has influenced their behavior.
The Vulcan Science Academy has done extensive research on the Talarian species, though they do tend to be xenophobic. I do believe that they are also weak against radiation in general. So it is possible that whatever is happening within that storm has changed their mental state.
Okay, so this changes the nature of what we might be needing to do here. It could be that we need to be rescuing these people.
All right. Suddenly, the comm signal bleeps. You have an incoming call. Do they call them calls? Incoming message.
Incoming message from who?
Your beeper beeps. Beeper beeps. From the ruling council of the Talarian Republic.
Commodore, we have a incoming message from the ruling. What'd you say? The ruling.
It's a delegation representing the ruling council of the Talarian government.
That.
Put it on screen, Ensign.
I will.
All right, let's pop that face on screen of Kevdar, Meric.
On it.
And so we'll put that here where people can see it. Oh, I just see that you put your double ones in the chat. That's hilarious.
I got to show proof.
That was great. Let's see if we can do a couple more of those. I'll take a couple double 20s too. You know me. All right. So Kevdar shows up on screen and he immediately says, explain the meaning of your attack on our borders. I want someone who should to do a reason plus con difficulty 1 regarding borders and politics. Who has the wherewithal to do that? The focus? Who's the best character who would know about the politics of this area?
Focus in interstellar trade.
I totally would agree with that, and you'll see why later if you'd like to. So why don't you go ahead and give me a reason plus con difficulty 1.
Reason plus con difficulty 1. And would you argue that my interstellar trade is an applicable focus?
Totally. Yep. You know about borders and trade routes.
I've got an applicable talent that helps me out here, and I think the answer is probably no. But if I... sorry, you said difficulty 1?
Correct.
It's hard to justify buying an additional die on this, even though that would activate my patient talent. Okay, so I'll do it.
I was also going to double check. We changed the scene. Are we at 2 momentum?
Is this considered a change of scene?
They went away, we all chatted, and then somebody hails us?
It's all happened on the bridge. No one's really moved. So I would think of this still as a one scene. Yeah.
Okay. I got a 5 and a 18. Okay, so 5 is only 1 success. Yeah, I think it's just 1 success.
Perfect. You, according to your knowledge, you are still well within Federation space.
Okay. I'm going to straighten my shirt and say, I'm very pleased to meet you. I'm Commodore Nelazem of the U.S.S. Challenger, a Starfleet vessel. I apologize if we've given you the impression that we've interfered with your borders. My understanding of where the current borders between Federation and Talarian space exist do not include this particular area. But I would love to engage in dialogue to figure out what's actually going on here.
May I speak to the man in charge?
We understand from your from the psychology of your species that you are unfamiliar with the fact that, not all species believe it is necessary to have men in charge. I'm quite capable of representing the ship and its interests.
I am not here for a philosophical debate. This is serious business. Bring me someone I can speak to who's serious business.
Oh boy, I hate this idea. I'll tell you what. Since you've asked so nicely, I will let you speak to my second in command, Commander Thoravik. Can you please inform this person that we are in no way interfering with their borders?
All right, we're activating a supporting character. Okay, and who's going to play? Thoravik, the Andorian. Who's going to play Thoravik, the Andorian?
I'm not on the bridge. I'd be happy to. I could do that.
That's right. And if you do that, you can now use the full character sheet
All right.
there. And so we know that you have 4 support crews, so you're down to 3 support crew for this game. BC had to drink water. By the way, I want everyone to know, I want to footnote, I am not making this up myself. This is based off the actual Talarians from TNG. I just want to footnote that before I get people sending me hate mail.
They also wear gloves so they don't have to touch aliens.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So
now. Here's
Thoravik steps into the view screen.
Yeah.
He's an Andorian, so everyone knows.
Big, broad-shouldered. No. Blue-skinned Andorian.
White Mohawk.
White Mohawk. There we go. Let's see. A demeanor as icy as Andoria itself. All right. Okay. Commander Thoravik will sort of step a half step forward and say, "Thank you, Commodore. I am happy to speak on behalf of the Challenger. We have not yet gotten your name or rank."
I am Ambassador Kevdar, representing the ruling council of the Talarian Republic.
Ambassador Kevdar, is it usual for the Talarian Republic to engage in acts of aggression against other polities that have not opened formalized diplomatic relations?
According to our diplomatic treaty for this region of space, you are within our coordinates right now and getting perilously close to our colony planets.
Do I believe that? Would I know that? Because I don't think that Commodore Zen said out loud that she believes we're in Federation space.
I think this is a great opportunity to ensure that I'm keeping the impression that I'm directing the Ravik to speak on my behalf and say, actually, Commander, I think that if we check the star charts, we will find that we are nowhere near the Talarian border, and that, our esteemed colleague here is, in fact, fudging the facts a little bit. But please feel free to tell them that on my behalf.
While BC and while Tharavik and Zen are chatting about that, which character, be it Dr. Varal or Tenon, might be checking on this from a stellar cartography point of view?
Checking stellar cartography. Tenon can certainly do it. I think it'd be more likely that Kamal would be doing it since he's on the bridge at the Helm station. We could make that our second supporting character.
Oh, okay. But then we have an issue because unfortunately the three of you are on the bridge. So right now we could have them do it, but we'd have to do that as a ship action.
Oh, got it.
Because you can't play two main characters. You can't play a supporting character if your main character's in the scene. Going raw, people, going raw. So
I could go back to the sick bay and go down there and then take control of Kamal if needs be.
Yeah, it's up to you, or you could run the scan. I mean, it's whatever you all want to do that makes sense visually.
I'm at a science station. I'll check the star charts.
Yeah,
sure, why not?
Okay, and I'll do this because this isn't your area of expertise, I don't believe, so I'll make it a difficulty 2. Mm-hmm. But we're going to go ahead and make this a insight plus con.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'd like to buy a die with momentum, please.
Okay. 2 momentum left.
And I'm just using the ship's computers to analyze where the borders are here.
Yeah, you'll get an additional dice because of that. Computers plus con using this ship. Computers.
All right. So computers plus con with the ship. So I rolled a 15, a 9, and a 6. It's 2 successes for me. The ship rolls a 16, which is not a success. So.
Okay. So interestingly enough, according to the stellar sensors, the coordinates you're at right now are actually within the boundaries of the Talarian Republic, although the computers are verifying that according to the position you're at, you should be in the Federation.
So the computers say that we should be in Federation territory. However, the coordinates that we are in are mapping as their territory?
Yes, due to a series of subspace buoys that were laid out between the Talarian Republic and the Federation, it's measuring the part of space you're in right now as Talarian Republic space.
All right.
Can't quite wrap my head around that. We're getting contradicting data.
Yeah, the sensors are telling you something different than what's logged in the computer.
Okay, so one of 2 things seems to be the case. Either
me immediately. His voice comes over and Dr. Viral knows this, but remember, nobody else knows this yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Ambassador Kevdak, we are...
Kevdar.
Oh, my apologies. We are verifying your claims. If you could simply be patient.
We will be patient for 2 days. That is exactly how long it will take for us to reach your location. And I expect all of our treaties to be honored.
And I'll turn to Commodore Zen and say, the Federation always honors its treaties, doesn't it, Commodore?
It does indeed.
Well, then there's nothing to worry about, Ambassador.
We will be there in 2 days with my delegation.
All right, folks. It feels like there's two possibilities here. So possibility number one is somehow this static nebula has disrupted space in some way that we need to establish. And possibility number two is somebody has moved the buoys and is trying to make an illegal claim on territory. Let's figure out which of those it is.
Commodore, may I suggest the third possibility?
Please.
Is there a chance that our ship's database has been tampered with somehow? And that we have false information in our database?
That's a fair assessment.
I can't imagine it happening, but I'm just trying to think of all the possibilities.
That's fair. Okay, so I would like to propose the following courses of action, unless people have another recommendation that we should consider. So course of action number one, Science Station, I need you to double check the location of these buoys and compare them to where we think they should be. And perhaps we get Engineer JAXA to do a diagnostic on our computer banks to see if they've been tampered with in some way. I guess that's not investigating the nebula, but let's rule out those two possibilities first and then go on to the third possibility.
Okay, let's make those orders for a cutscene, right? We have something happening there. So we're going to make a cutscene there. And we know we have 2 days. So people are going to be busy, stuff like that. I'm just going to ask, besides working this problem, or maybe that's all you do, I'm going to go around real quick and ask you within that 2-day period, what are maybe something else your characters might be working on as you research this? Let's start with the captain, or working on hobby, doing whatever.
I think Commodore is particularly interested in solving this problem. So even if, I think Commodore is going to keep close eye on the progress of these activities and probably not going to take much time off the bridge.
Okay. Dr. Burrell?
I am going to start doing some research on Tellurian physiology and culture. That'll be, foremost. And then at some point, I do want to have a chat with the Commodore at some point.
Okay, we're going to be working toward that. Very good. Then JAXA?
Then JAXA is going to propose to the Commodore that we modify a probe to study the static nebula. Was it a static nebula?
Static ion storm.
Static ion storm. And so on his off time, he's going to be tinkering in his lab on a probe and sort of conferring with science colleagues on what the ion storm might do to the probe.
Okay.
As long as it is approved by the Commodore.
Will that be approved? Yep. Okay. And then Tenon. Ensign Tenon.
Tenon being young and eager and still a little wet behind the ears is gonna pretty much work double shifts and attach himself to whichever engineer Van JAXA wants to assign to digging into the computer systems to find out if they've been tampered with, using his engineering expertise and his knowledge of Starship protocols. He's going to want to get dirty, get into the Jeffries tubes, get into the EPS conduits, like whatever it takes to start digging and to find out, is that an issue, and can I cross that off the list?
Then JAXA will probably say, Ensign Tennant, excellent taking initiative. I would like you to head up this project. Pick your team and investigate.
Oh, thank you, sir. I will do my best.
I know you will. I know you will.
All right, I'm taking momentum to 1 because that was a change of scene. We had 2 before. I'm taking it to 1. I'm going to start with Dr. Varel as you're in your study, in your quarters, looking through Talarian stuff. Now, normally I would make this, a reason plus science difficulty 1, but the Talarians are new so I'm going to kind of use their trait that they're kind of new to Federation citizens and to Starfleet, that this is going to be difficulty 2 to see if you, excuse me, I'm trying to create a trait for you. It's difficulty 2. It's going to be difficulty 3 because of their trait. They're not that well known yet. You're all learning about them for the first time. So I'm going to make it reason plus science or medicine, difficulty 3, in order to see if you can create a trait of having some knowledge about Talarian physiology and culture.
All right. So we're going to do reason and medicine. And you said it's difficulty 3?
Yes, because normally it's 2 to create a trait, but I'm going to have to use their Talarian trait to +1 diff on that.
Yeah, I probably don't have a focus that comes into play with that. So I'd like to use that momentum to buy a 3rd dice.
All right.
Please. I am looking for a target number of 17, which is awesome.
I'll let you use the ship's computers, by the way, and science or medicine also.
Okay, awesome. So first on me, that's a 9, a 3, and a 5. So there's 3 successes right there. The ship assist is a 2.
Nice.
Which I believe is 2 successes.
I think so. Let's take a look. Yep, it doubles that up. Yep. So you got 2 momentum. So you now have a trait. What do you want to call it?
Understands Talarian physiology.
Okay. And what do you want to do with the momentum?
We'll bank it.
Okay. As you're in the middle, while you're studying, we're going to cut scene real quick to Captain
Zen.
Jack. Sorry. Thank you. I just forgot the name. Just slipped me. Sorry, Captain Zen. So Captain Zen, because you had to get some rest, so maybe you went to your place for like 2 or 3 hours to get some sleep. This is actually a scene change. This is actually going to be in the same scene as Dr. Varel right now. You'll see why in a second. But the trait did start off on this, which is written into my notes. We're actually going to have you wake up with nausea too. Okay. So this is one of the things that now we know Zen has nausea too. Just so you all know, this is beginning of an extended task. And we'll get into that as you see why I'm establishing it, calling it an extended task with this nausea too. So what you were asleep, improv, how did you wake up with this extreme nausea?
So I think that when the Commodore sleeps, she tends to like process ideas or things in the background. So there's some part of her that's always a little bit fitful. But I think that what probably happens is like she bolts upright in bed and just throws up on the floor beside her.
And right as you do that, you actually have a flashback to a previous life in a previous dimension. What do we see?
Previous life. Let's say one of the previous hosts of the Syl symbiont was a galactic trader. And maybe that's some of where the interstellar trade focus has its origins.
And right now, all of a sudden, you kind of feel temporally off. What does that feel like?
Temporarily off or temporally off?
Temporarily off.
Temporarily off. It's probably very disorienting. I think that the Commodore is a very, in control sort of character, and just having that level of disorientation has probably alarmed her a great deal.
Your symbiont doesn't actually know what dimensions it's in.
Okay, that's kind of
And you throw up again.
All right. I'm gonna hit the communicator on the wall and say, Zenda, Dr. Varel, I need to come see you. Are you available?
Chronometer reads 3 a.m. 0300 hours.
Yes, Commodore. We have a bed here that you can come to.
All right. Let's cut scene to coming into sick bay. Fun sick bay noises, TOS level. Sick bay noises, little diodes, stuff like that. Go ahead.
Forgive me, Doctor. I realize the hour, but this is one of those situations where I really only trust your assessment. So I think there's some nausea going on here, so maybe a scan there. But there's also something that seems to be triggering memories of one of my previous hosts' life, and that's a new thing. It's a little unusual.
Oh dear. Oh, okay. And so she gets you up on the bed. She touches a button and activates like a field around the bed to kind of muffle your words. And she reaches for a medical scanner and pulls out a treatment of bicaridine to help with the nausea, and begins a medical scan of
Let's do the Vicarian first because you're trying to help with the nausea.
Yep.
So since this is a potent trait nausea 2, and normally what you're trying to do would be difficulty 1, but you're in the med bay, so it would knock it down to difficulty 0.
Sure.
I'm going to need you to see if you can work with that nausea. Let's do excuse me. Let's do let's do a control plus medicine, difficulty 2.
All right. My target number is a 15. Emergency medicine focus come into play?
Sure.
Okay. I believe. Yeah, that's it for now. Oh, that's a 4 and a 5. That is 4 successes.
Very
because
good.
of my
So you
focus.
get 2 momentum on that. So you guys are at 4 momentum right now. You're able to help her with the nausea initially, but all of the sensor readings show that her body is still in distress.
Okay. All right. So tell me about what you saw.
There was a flashback to one of Sill's previous lives. There was a trader, Cranston Sill, who was an early interstellar trader amongst the Trill people.
I have a question real quick.
Sure.
I want, for the people who are watching this, is Dr. Varel aware that Commander Zinn has a symbiont inside of her? And is she aware that the symbiont's from a different dimension and reality? Okay, good. I just want to state that for people. Okay.
Yes. So so this was not a dream. This was a vision you had after you woke up?
It seemed that way, yes. So the nausea woke me up, and then I had this flash where I was sort of in the past, in the ship that, Cranston used to pilot.
Would you like to use your momentum for anything?
Yeah, of course. So I have 2 momentum. I guess technically because it was difficulty 0, right? Or was it difficulty 2?
It was difficulty 2. Mm-hmm.
All right. So yes, I would like to use my first momentum to understand more about is this seem to be like a temporal sickness, or is this something more psychological?
Okay, so to answer your first question, because I think that's fair, is it temporal? There's no sign of temporal displacement.
Okay. Now, because I am studious, I get one additional question whenever I spend. So that will be, is there any enhanced brain functions that suggest, something psychologically has been disrupted among the pairing?
That's a negative. There's no indications of that yet.
Okay. So then I'll bank the last momentum.
Okay, so we're at 3 momentum.
Yep.
All right, let's cut scene. Okay. Let's see how Ensign Tennant has been coming along with his computer searches. I think that would make sense to see if anything has been falsified in the computers. We're going to go ahead and make this a control plus. You can choose security or engineering, whichever one you want to use for this. And this is going to be difficulty 2 because you're doing a lot of work here.
And how much momentum do we have right now?
3.
3. Anybody have any problems if I spend 1 for an extra die? All right, I'll spend 1. I'll spend 1 momentum for 1 extra die. My target number is 15, rolling 3 dice. I've got a 3, an 8, and a 18. I don't think I have a unless you think Starship Protocol fits here, which I don't think it really does. Shipboard tactical systems, maybe. I mean, I don't know if that's really applicable. Okay, so I call it 2 successes then.
Okay, 2 successes. From everything you can see as you crawl out of the Jeffries tube and kind of wiping grease off your fingers, checked out everything. And we'll say you were doing this over like a 24-hour period with the team, right? Nothing. I mean, you're not seeing the computers have been tampered with at all.
Okay. And I guess the diagnostic on the computer systems themselves were inconclusive.
Yeah, I mean, you did a level. What's the most intense level? Level 1, right? Diagnostic,
Level 1, yeah.
where you take it offline and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you did a level 1 diagnostic on that. That's why I took a day with the teams, and nothing funny here.
Okay. Well, I will make sure that all my notes are in order. I'll have one of the engineers check my work, and then I think I'll refresh myself before I go to Commander Van Jackson first. I would go to Van Jackson first before I go to the Commodore.
Okay,
Chain of command. Chain of command. He put me in charge, so I'm going to report to him first.
All right, cool. And Van Jackson, you've been working on something too with that probe. This is one heck of a static ion storm for a small probe. So if you're going to be able to build it to withstand, it's going to be quite the role here. So I'm going to actually need from you a daring plus engineering difficulty 4.
Okay.
To see if you can pull this off.
Okay. Let's see.
There's lots of momentum.
2 momentum is what I see.
Daring engineering is...
And Jim raised his hand.
Oh, and we moved around.
I just realized, I hope that didn't throw off the Twitter.
It did.
Or the shoot, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I didn't realize that we do that. My apologies. Did it go back now?
It's back now.
Were you raising your hand for a reason?
Yeah, but I'll wait till you're done with your thing.
Okay.
Daring engineering for me is going to be a target number 13. So that's not bad. And then engineering task to perform repairs. Nope, that's not going to help. Transporter chief is not going to help. Focuses. I don't think I have a focus that applies. Reverse engineering, transporters, warp drive, not really helpful here. Oh, my pastime is metallurgy, though. So it's definitely going to be like...
I will allow that. I will allow that.
Okay, it's going to be replicating like additional shielding
yes.
in that manner.
Yeah, that sounds good.
There's a lot of like goggles and sparks flying in this workshop.
Okay.
Buying 1 die to bring us down to 1 momentum in the pool, if that's all right with everybody.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm only gonna get 3 dice out of this, so target number 13. Although my engineering is a 5, so
Right. Can I suggest?
Yeah.
Does this feel important enough to use your point of determination?
I think so. Let's see. What have I got for values? If there's no solution to your problem, invent one.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Pretty solid. Okay, so remind me, that is buying
One of those
setting?
automatically becomes a 1.
So it's setting, and then I still roll 2.
Correct.
Okay. Too many 2d20 systems in and out of my brain, all doing it slightly differently. Okay. Cool. And then we get a 7 and an 8. So because we use the determination, that is 4 successes exactly.
Exactly. Good. All right. You now have a probe that can get inside there. That probe is going to act as a trait that you can use for future scans. So you do have something that can get in there and start exploring the static ion storm. Very nice. Very nice.
Yep. And when he's finished and he runs it through a couple of diagnostics, he's very excited and like lets out a cheer. And there's like a couple of other engineers who are like helping him, and they're all like, they've dozed off. And so they like startle awake. He's like, "We did it, everybody."
Very good. Very good. All right. So what we're going to do, because we've all went around. Oh, go ahead.
Hold on. Just wanted to bring up 2 quick things just because we're trying to go by the rules.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing is I forgot to ask if the ship could assist me with my task. Obviously, it's not.
I thought you might. I would have said no. And the reason why, a level 1 diagnostic takes kind of the ship off as an assistant because it's deep. Mm-hmm. Also, I thought that maybe Meric would ask the same, and I was going to say no because he was he's building something, he's modifying something, and the ship doesn't have robot arms to come out and do that. Really.
Yeah.
And then the second thing I wanted to make sure that you knew, just for reference purposes for future episodes, because I'm an ensign, I have untapped potential. And because I have untapped potential, if I spend if I succeeded at a task that I have bought at least 1 more dice for, after the task is complete, I roll a d20. If I roll under my reason, we get a bonus momentum. If I roll over my reason, you get a point of threat. So I rolled a 15, so you have 1 more threat to use for.
Oh, I'll take that. Thank you for being totally raw, Jim. That's wonderful. 5. That gives me 5 threat. Wonderful. Okay, as we're wrapping up this, because we all did a round in this kind of, scene, really fun Star Trek scene where people are working the problem and getting stuff done. BC, I'm going to roll some dice here, and it's going to be an opposed roll. If you do not succeed in beating this roll, whatever difficulty I set, it's going to cause you 2 stress off your stress track. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and roll it. My target number on this is 12. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and roll my dice. I got a 6 and a 9. So you need to be at a difficulty 2 with your fitness plus medicine.
Okay. Fitness plus medicine are terrible rolls for me. That's 10 together. And this is just, I need to be healthy. Is that a true statement? So if people are okay with this, I would like to spend a point of momentum to get an extra die on it.
This will be the final point for this scene. Okay.
Don't love my odds here, but let's see what happens. Oh, this does not look good. Okay. So, bad news first and then worse news afterwards. So 0 successes. And then worse news, one of them was a 20.
Woo. I'll take that as threat. We're going to 7 threat. All right. So at this point, just so you know, the nausea is still coming back. Like it's coming back in a fury. But you're able to stand up. You have the medicine that kind of keeps you from hurling at this point. But that nausea, that presence is still happening at the end of this scene. As in day 2, the delegation is arriving. All right. And so let's go ahead and show that ship again, because they arrive on their Talarian vessel. This is now a Talarian starship. So this is this is a scale 4 ship. Still, their weapons aren't all that great, but it's definitely a bigger vessel with more capabilities. Again, their technology is newer. You still outclass that ship. You have that much. and Kevdar and his attaches, Kevdar and his attaches are ready to beam over. Tell me what the setup is of this. Who's in the transporter room? Anything you all, actually, I'll also let you all give a chance to prepare if you want to prepare.
So
From the transporter room.
Just clarification. So they said that we had 2 days. I thought we'd only spent 1 day. Have we come to any conclusions?
Well, I mean, you've done a lot. You got, we have Viral, who's done research on Talarian, so they've received a trait. We know the computers are not tampered with. Your probe will assume is launched at this period of time. You know, I don't want to have it go too fast to the plot. You know, so your probe is probing, and we've been dealing with a medical issue at the same time.
So, yeah, did we have time to check the buoys?
Yeah, let's do that. We'll go ahead and do that. And I also need to do one other thing. I said this was an extended task. So Dr. Viral, I actually need you to do the first roll on the extended task. So let me start with this part because we got to start working against that extended task. So this is definitely going to be a control plus medicine on trying to figure out what's going on here. We're going to start making progress, and we're going to have breakthroughs as we go through. Right. So let's go ahead and roll that. This is difficulty 3 with 1 resistance, just so you're aware.
And we don't have any momentum currently.
0.
All right. So, and what's the roll here?
This is going to be control plus medicine.
Control plus medicine. All right. So here's what we're gonna do.
Difficulty 3
we're gonna buy 2 dice with 3 threat.
takes us to 10 threat.
Ooh.
I'm going to utilize my value, which is my highest calling is a healer.
Very good.
Try to determine what is going on here. So one of these is going to roll a 1, and I'm going to roll 3 more dice. Yeah, that's never mind. That's not good. I also have cutting edge medicine, but it doesn't really help. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 successes altogether.
Very good. And since your medicine is 5, that would give you 5 progress. Oh, sorry, that would give you 2 progress because difficulty was 3. So you got 2 progress. Oh, no, sorry, I'm doing it. Sorry, messed up. Sorry, raw rules. That creates 5 progress minus 1 resistance. So you make 4 progress on that track.
And I can spend that 1 momentum to add 2 more progress, right?
No, I thought it was spend 2 momentum to add 1 progress.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yep, you're right.
So you'd have to buy a thread at this point because you have 0 momentum.
Yeah, I'll do that actually. I'll spend the momentum, add 1 more to threat so that I can get 5 progress on. Maybe get a breakthrough.
There we go. Yep, you will get a breakthrough. Let me mark off 5. Sorry, I'm not talking to the microphone. I'm marking off 5 off my track over here. Progress track.
And we're at 0 momentum and 11 threat. Exciting. I can't get out of the mindset of being a GM and being like, yes, threat. Threat's so
Oh yeah, and BC, did you mark your 2 stress also?
You're right.
And I want to remind you, page 20 of the Quick Start Guide, BC, if you want to consult it, it talks about recovering stress. So you could refer to that while we're going through this. So you're making progress. You're working hard within that day, trying to figure out what's going on with the captain, Dr. Varel. The first breakthrough is actually an event. Oh. And that event is, I need you to roll against a difficulty 2.
What am I rolling?
Oh, you're going to be doing fitness and medicine.
Fitness.
Is that my roll or
no,
the doctor's roll?
Viral.
Listen.
All right. Well, this is interesting. So my fitness is 8. My medicine is 13. I rolled a 1 and a 20.
Oh, perfect. I will take that as a threat. And the event is you're making progress. You're starting to, get into it. It's really, but you get nausea too also.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, this feels contagious.
And Kevdar is approaching. Again, we'll say he's like 15 minutes from the location when Dr. Burrell is struck. Hence, how are you? Who's going to be in the transport room?
So since I'm sick, and since, you know, they're all sort of sexist anyway, this feels like a good opportunity to get Commander Thoravic leading this delegation. And it might be prudent. I mean, the doctor is also sick, so it might be prudent to get some of the male officers to greet the delegation.
Okay. We have available, of course, Tenon and JAXA, and there's also another character that hasn't been activated, Lieutenant Junior Rashid Kamal, who is the helm officer. So is JAXA going to be there? Because then someone else would have to play Thoravic.
Sure. So why don't we have our senior officers? So I'm inclined to say Commander Thoravic and JAXA. So
who's going to play Thoravic in this scene?
Either I can do it, or Al, if you're chomping at the bit to do it. Sure, I'll take Thoravic.
Okay, you'll take Thoravic. So Thoravic and JAXA is who we have. Is Tenon also there? Or he's a male officer.
Sure, he's all about the communication. So, and also, you know, surface thoughts and all that sort of thing.
All right, cool. All right, the delegation arrives, and beams. Go ahead.
Before the delegation. No. I was going to say before the delegation arrives, I think JAXA will kind of rush in, and his uniform will not be like perfectly clean or like put together. He's not used to like these ambassadorial moments. So if Thoravic wants to take him to task, JAXA's looking a little flustered.
Okay. All right. And so let's play that scene. They're about to beam in. JAXA comes in. Tenon's, I'm taking it as shapeship.
Rested and refreshed. Yeah, absolutely.
Where do I put my hands?
Thraxa, do you want to make any comments before the...
Oh, definitely. Thoravic's going to, you know, look him over, you know, shoes to collar, and like, JAXA, you're going to step out and you're going to change your shirt, and you'll be back in 3 minutes.
Yes, sir. It's like walking out and like muttering, comb my beard. And he'll come back with a clean shirt.
Okay. We'll assume that Tenon is at the transporter controls. That is not unusual for a communication officer, right? To be a transporter controls sometimes, or...
Sure.
Yeah, and so they're ready to beam over. You want to wait till JAXA comes back? Or just
sure. We'll stall them a little bit. We'll just mention we're doing last security scans.
Okay, I'm spinning 2 threat for highly irritated delegation then. So we're creating that as a trait. So I got
not much change is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
All right. So JAXA's back.
Clean shirt.
They beam in, and let's go ahead and show the picture. We have Kevdar up there, but let's also show the other two. And those are Attache's Rimtac, a female Talarian. A smell emanates off the transporter, like lavender, like very, very pleasant smell. And then the other attaché is named Sullivan. He is the first one who kind of steps forward. He has a limp, perhaps a battle wound. Maybe it was an injury at birth, but he kind of steps forward. Kevdar, of course, asserts himself and steps immediately down the steps straight to Thoravic.
Thoravic offers his hand, says, I understand that your people and my people are both warriors. Very pleased to meet you.
Indeed. We have a lot to discuss about the border violation.
We are investigating that possibility as well.
You didn't slap your hand. Like,
Yeah.
just Jackson.
Jax's hand is very awkwardly like near his face.
Okay. Is the next scene walking through? Tenon, do you do anything as the delegation comes up? Thinking everyone, just so you know, if you're listening to the podcast, your podcast is still working.
I think I'm just being attentive and given our experience in the last episode, I'm trying to keep my Betazoid abilities in check and trying to resist the urge to do a passive scan on them. So I'm just I'm trying not to be too obviously bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and just trying to observe and take my cues from the Commodore. Fascinating.
Okay. And so is this next scene walking down the hall or at a conference? What are we cutting to?
Yeah, I think, I'm guessing that we probably have a transporter room that is near one of the conference rooms because, meetings is a straightforward thing. So let's assume that we can do a fairly quick transition into a conference room.
Okay, cool. And then just so I know, I want to picture in mind, at this time, where are Dr. Varel and where are Dr. Zen and Commander Zen?
Yeah, I think the Commodore is probably still in sick bay.
Yeah, I'm running a million medical diagnostics on myself.
Okay. All right. So back in the conference room, we cut to Kevdar with his little mini monologue here. In the treaty, we conceded some of our space with the understanding Starfleet would honor our borders. Our colony borders and trade routes have been violated. You cannot deny this. And he waves a data card that kind of proves the treaty. He has the data card. Due to this, one of our captains, Captain Czar, is planning an attack on our colony on Sigma Chlor. Now, Sigma Chlor, as I say that, you all think, no, that's a Federation colony. It came with the treaty. He says, we've lost track of Captain Czar, but I guarantee he will purge the Federation colonists and take back our colony unless we come to an agreement now. His ship is already on its way.
Well, thank you for the advance notice of the act of war that you're planning.
We cannot speak for Captain Czar. We are making great strides to try to unify our people. You have to understand, we have many hatreds and resentments against the Federation, and Captain Czar is acting on his own. I am actually here in a diplomatic capacity.
I hear you. So is the goal of your diplomatic organization to achieve some sort of reconciliation or to discover the actual facts of the circumstance?
The actual facts. We need to understand why you're so confused about our borders according to the treaty.
Well, then, I'm glad to hear that we're seeking the truth together, because that means that we can actually outline for you why it is that we think there's conflicting information available to us, and we can work together to figure out why that conflicting information exists.
I suggest we do so rapidly.
Come in here with advanced or with a presupposition and not listen to any of the actual facts of the matter. But I'm delighted to hear that I'm wrong in this circumstance.
Do you deny that you're on our borders right now?
What I will not deny is that some of the data that we are currently considering suggests that we are within your borders, but other data contradicts that, and we need to understand the nature of that contradiction.
Very well. Time is of the essence. Captain Czar approaches the colony.
Venjaxa is going to pull up some information and look up the Sigma Chlor colony and see what information he can just surreptitiously scan while the other two are talking.
Sure. That'll be automatic unless you want to roll on it. It'll be difficulty 0 unless you want to do a roll.
I'm looking for base things like, do our computers say that this is a Talarian settlement or that it's a Federation settlement? What does the computer tell us?
The computer confirms that according to the treaty, by name, this colony was going to be transferred over to Federation. However, the computer also designates where the location of this colony is in space. The sensors now declare it's actually in Talarian territory.
Okay, this is hijinksy. There's space dimensional stuff going on here. I'm certain of it now.
Cutscene.
Yeah.
Well, I don't actually need a cutscene at this point, because what I can say is the bridge says bridge to captain, or I should say, you're in charge right now. I take it, right? Well, I have to ask, is Thravik in charge? Has the captain given? Yeah. Okay, just want to make sure. So bridge to Captain Thravik's, we are receiving a distress call.
Go ahead.
From what I can tell, it's from the freighter that attacked us 2 days ago. They are in the static ionic storm and are requesting our aid. Or requesting aid, not our aid, requesting aid.
Is there an indication of whether or not it's a medical emergency?
They got cut off. We did not finish it. And I should also do a little rewind real quick. The delegation got dropped off, and then their ship went off. So those delegations currently on your ship, they do not have a ship in the area. Sorry, I needed to clarify that.
Well, Commander Thravik will turn to the ambassador and say, Ambassador, in the interest of cooperation, I would like to inform you that we've received a distress signal from a Talarian freighter, one that tried to attack us earlier, I have to point out. And
only because of your border violation.
And
alleged.
I hope that you will join us in a joint rescue effort. Now, obviously, your ship is no longer here, but we would like you to be our guest as we try to render aid to your ship.
Doing so, you realize that could allow Captain Czar to get to the colony in time to purge them. If you do not make this a rapid rescue, tens of thousands of your Federation colonists could die.
I understand the urgency. We have a responsibility to render aid where necessary.
Cutscene, Act 1 over.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right. 5-minute break.
A lot going on here.
The plot.
All right. Any questions before we take? I mean, I don't want to take questions if they pertain to the game, but 5-minute break and come back. Yeah. Everyone doing okay? Just checking.
How's everybody doing on time?
I was going to say, I thought we were only going for another 25 minutes. So
okay.
By schedule.
We can just do Act 1 tonight and then just do Act 2 and maybe 3 next time. We can do that.
Okay.
I'm happily cleared on Monday nights to continue doing this each Monday night as it's necessary. So
yeah, we're far ahead of our taping schedule, so we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, happily.
And our next time,
I love having a medical mystery. By the way, you're driving me nuts. I've got a million notes written down here in my notebook.
Okay, let's have a go around because we still need to wrap up the episode. Hi, everyone. You're hearing us how we schedule stuff. Just so you know, I'm not editing this out because I don't have time. So let's go around real quick and have our Act 1 thoughts. Let's go start with Dr. Varel. Go ahead.
So this is my first time playing a medical officer in Star Trek. So like medical mysteries are just so fascinating to me. Like I love House is one of my favorite TV shows. Like I love this stuff. So super excited to see where this goes. Also like timey-wimey maybe. Like yeah, lots of really neat stuff happening.
All right, Tenon, what are you thinking, Jim?
I like the fact that everybody had something to do. Everybody had some interesting things going on, and we get to learn a little bit more about the characters, right? Not just the plot of the week, but also we're learning a little bit more about the Commodore and some of the other characters. So it's just exciting to see it come together. And I appreciate our efforts to try to keep it to rules as written. We forgot a few things. We're trying to get it all together here, but it's true for any new group. So be patient with us if we get things wrong, and try to be gentle in the comments section.
Yeah, I want everyone to know how I softballed the first ship battle that they ever went through. I really softballed it just to get But it was very to me. It was very TNG level, tilt to the side. So, what about you, Meric?
Really enjoying it. This is super good. Just like Jim said, getting to see a little bit more of the characters and whatnot. My favorite thing for Ven Jaxa is him as kind of like an inventor and like a weirdo. And I like having his like a little bit of a scene in his workshop. But the thing about him being nervous with the ambassadors, that was just improv. I didn't think of that ahead of the time, and I'm like, this fits him, and I like it. So
Yeah, you're all doing really good improv. Final words from Captain.
Can I just also take a moment to admire Jax's little moment with the ensign and giving the ensign that sort of boost of confidence, etc. That was a great little moment. So the Commodore obviously wants to solve all of the problems, but I can't help but think that one of the biggest concerns on the Commodore's mind is if there's something contagious going on, then she's probably trying to figure out what does this mean for the future of the Syl symbiont. And I think that we had a chat a while ago about there must be some contingency plan in the event that the Commodore is injured at some point. But I don't think we had anticipated the idea that maybe there's a contagion there. And what does that mean in terms of long-term contingency for the symbiont?
Exactly. Yeah. And just so you all know, I thought the Talarians would be a really fun group to pick because for the fact that they're only seen in 1 or 2 episodes, I think TNG and then somebody with the same forehead shows up on DS9. So this gives a lot of room for me to explore the early interactions of the Federation with them. And this could be, if you watch the TNG episode, this could be the story that made it, they didn't want to talk to the Federation after. So there's a little, they separated for 100 years. So I'm looking forward to discovering the suspense as we continue with Test of Honor. All right. Conversation continues. Tune in next week for Act 2.
Thanks, Michael.